Guy Fieri, and we're about ready to get crazy at the Box Score Bar. We're continuing our totally rad 10-head drink series. Today's drink is going to be for the back row bookworm, Andrew McLovin Perloff. This drink is called the Dark Dork. Start with 6 ounces of your favorite dark rich stout. Let's pour in 3.5 ounces of a nice cola, and let's drop in a shot of Jaeger. All right. What? You know McLovin doesn't drink. I think I'm going to go brunette. Call me bad, Dan Nation. The box score starts right now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Coward for box score. Welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock here in Los Angeles, and the Danettes are all the way out there in Milford, Connecticut. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Paulie had NCAA President Mark Emmert on the show today. Why is he a guest that DP always seems to get fired up for?
Well, because there's a lot of news there, and there's a lot of emotion around the interview as far as like, I guess intensity, not emotion. But I think these kind of interviews for me are the most pressure-filled. And I think for Dan, even though he doesn't show it, because you don't want to whiff on one of these. You don't get Mark Emmert every day, and there's a lot of news to get to. So before we started the interview, we were all kind of discussing it, and Dan even pulled me aside. He goes, "We're not missing anything. We're not going too overboard on anything. We dissected it a little more than the average interview, Brock."
Well, there's no doubt that the boss was going to ask the tough questions to get the answer he wanted.
How much money did Johnny Manziel make for Texas A&M? Shouldn't he have benefited in some way, shape, or form, even after the fact?
Well, that's one of the debates that's going on right now.
But do you think so, Mark? That's the key. Do you think, if you're Johnny Manziel, how would you feel?
I think Johnny Manziel is going to be very successful.
No. Let's say he didn't play, Mark.
Dan, please let me answer the question. I think Johnny Manziel is going to be very, very successful. He's going to be probably a very wealthy man.
Dan's the best at what he does, and he's looking for a certain answer, or at least some type of answer, whether he likes Mark Emmert or any of our guest responses or not. And Dan's not afraid to corner the guest into taking some type of stance. He does it in a way that's very respectful. He's not trying to be confrontational. He's not trying to make any of our guests look foolish. But there are questions that demand answers, and Dan's not afraid to have a second, third, fourth follow-up until he hears something that resembles some type of response.
He doesn't want to make it confrontational because he doesn't want to make you feel bad, Fritzy. That's why. The interview lasted 18.5 minutes. Seton, where does that rank in DP show history as far as you can remember?
Man, that's definitely a long one. I can't think of one that went one segment, almost 20 minutes in a long time. But, there's so much to talk about there and so much to go over with Mark Emmert. He's kind of... he's an interesting guy because he's really unlikable by nature of what his job is. So I think most of his pay is sort of hazard pay there, where it's like, all right, dude, you're going to be the face here and take all these arrows and hope you do good at it.
And Brock, there's one thing there I hadn't thought about till now. You don't want to take a break in an interview like this. You want to let the emotion ramp up like a great song. You want it to get more intense, hopefully get more answers. If we say, hey, Mark, we're going to take a break, then we're going to ask you about this, this, and this, it gives him time to say, okay, you're going to ask me about this, this, and this. I'm going to get my head ready for some... I don't know if pat answers, I want to be fair to Mark, but have my answers ready. So you would like to do it all in one segment if you can.
Well, Paulie, let me ask you, Calipari takes the control of an interview by just taking away from you. This guy seemed to have more of the political answers ready for DP. Would you agree?
It does a little bit. It felt like Mark had some buzzwords like student athlete, employee, and separating those things. It also felt like once Dan asked a question, Mark was going to take it for a while to give his stance. And Dan may not get it back for a while, so you got to be ready at some point. If someone's rambling on and on, which I only think Mark did 1 or 2 times during the answers, Dan's got to jump in and say, hey, okay, and not be afraid to literally interrupt the person.
Well, we asked the boss why he seems to take interviews with Emmert to the next level in today's edition of Boss's Thoughts.
I don't know if I got extra fired up as much as the topics are big, wide-ranging, and we've heard the excuses. So you're just trying to cut through some of the BS that's out there, because sometimes the NCAA can just say something and then we just buy it. We'll go like, okay, yeah, sure. Some of the stuff you can. So I decided to push back with respect to the president of the NCAA.
I think that's a good way to put it. Push back with respect. This is not personal. Dan never made it personal. He didn't open up as a confrontational interview. You're going to get a lot more out of someone if they feel comfortable than if they feel cornered. At the end, it got a little more confrontational, but not in the first 16 minutes it didn't.
You know, I actually wanted to step up for Emmert. I actually, believe it or not, agreed with him a little bit on one topic with Dan, and I'm totally on an island here. But I feel like a lot of the I don't think Manziel built up Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M built up Manziel to a large extent, where Dan and I disagree on this. You guys might disagree too. But Manziel made a lot of money for Texas A&M. They were getting that money anyway. They were already well into this Kyle Field project before Manziel got there. I think this house that Manziel built is a little overstated. I think he did get a lot out of being at Texas A&M too, and I think big-time college sports will roll on with or without the individuals.
You should have said this during the show.
You know, we never really got back to Manziel. Otherwise, I might have. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Paulie. You should have told me to tell that. But
My bad. I should have known that you were thinking that. My
Dude,
bad.
a good producer would have been able to read my mind.
That's right. My bad.
Well, serious topic, and one of the main topics of conversation with Emmert was the recent NCAA rule allowing for unlimited snacks. McLovin, let's go to you. As we see here, how quickly would a university go bankrupt if Paulie was still in school?
Wow. You know, I think this might be a camera position place. I am definitely the biggest eater here. I am literally eating, and Seaton's not far behind, and Paulie's right there too. I'm not sure Paulie's the biggest snacker. What do you guys think?
I'm probably not the biggest snacker, but there's a certain window you have before the show starts to eat, and I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't like cold food, and I don't like eating half my food and saving for later. And I do like getting the show going on time.
Yeah, and actually, I sneak to the back where the cameras can't see me a lot for snacking, and I go in that back area to snack too. Because I learned early on, Brad Pitt said the one thing you need to do as a celebrity, never get caught eating on camera.
Well, I'm not a celebrity, so that works out great.
Paulie.
Also, never get caught with a bat in the cave. Sage advice. There's more on the way. We'll see Paulie's mean streak rear its ugly head, and it's time for another mock headline champion to take home the belt. Stay tuned.
Wall, right elbow rises, shoots, misses. Badly, Gortat the rebound. Short jumper, good. Short jumper, good. Margin Gortat from 5 feet. The Wizards lead by 6, 96-90 with 34 seconds left. There's the horn. That's the sound you were waiting to hear if you're a Wizard fan. A lot of hard work by this Wizards team, and as a result, they deliver a 102-93 win to secure Game 1 of the 2014 NBA playoff series with the Chicago Bulls.
Can we shorten those a little bit here, Seaton? It's one win for the Wizards.
Never-ending clip. Welcome back to the box score. DP with an apparent case of the Mondays. Seaton, why has he been bashing the length of your plays of the day lately?
Whoa. Some of them have gotten a little long. Today's wasn't. Today's was only like 35 seconds, which is well within the bounds of play of the day timing. Some of them have gone long, and that even when I'm sitting listening to them, I'm like, wow, like this won't end, and I made it. You're like, good God, just. All right, get over it. But you can't just do the play of the day, can't just be the final buzzer and, hey, look who won, and then that's it. And you're like, that isn't really a play, it's just the end of the game. So I like to try and throw in a highlight, at least, and then something that tells the story.
You're right, Seaton. Well, you didn't have the guts to fight back, but later in the show, the boss was giving his thoughts on a TV classic, and he made the mistake of trying to bash McLovin.
Ginger got all those dresses. Where's she getting all those dresses? It's a 3-hour tour. And the professor's so smart, he couldn't get off the island? McLovin, I think, has a pull question. Kind of mailed it in a little bit.
Well, at least I didn't use a stand-up bit from the 80s there with Gilligan Island.
Wow. Wow. Were there shots that just went by my head?
Okay, I can explain what happened. What I did this week, no one asked what I did this weekend. I watched Goodfellas on a loop on IFC. It was on my, so you know that scene where Spider gives lift to Joe Pesci?
Oh, yeah.
So That's exactly what I felt like after that thing. Because Dan actually laughed, which gave me, like, I was very relieved.
Remember what happened to Spider?
Yeah, I thought I was going to get murdered. Dan looked at me like, you should see like that flash of anger that came, like, you're gonna want to talk? Because I was like, you know, Dan, as he pointed out, is sort of a street fighter, you know, talks on the basketball court. I was kind of like getting in there. If we were going to go back and forth, I would not last very long. But I was very proud of myself / scared.
That was very courageous of you. I was shocked that you just went out there and said, why don't you just steal a bit from the 80s on Gilligan's Island? That was courage right there.
I was happy for McLovin. I thought it was awesome, and it needed to be said. Because it was, it's like sort of saying like, hey, has the phrase jump the shark, even asking the question is jump the shark. Like everything about it is wrong and dated, and I was very happy that Dan got called out on that.
Like a clown, you amuse us, McLovin. Paulie also seemed to have a case of the Mondays as he went into the box to call out one of the Danettes.
Something came to my attention. We keep meticulous records on this show, and the I-Team has reported that Todd Fritz, who's a member of a sports talk radio show, has not spoken yet today, which is odd, considering part of your job here is to verbally speak. Now, I'm going to call my shot here. If Fritzy goes in the box next hour to comment on him not speaking, he's going to go, I didn't really notice that I was quiet the first call. Maybe I like to kind of ease in. It's a Monday, just kind of easing into the week.
Yeah, I didn't verbally speak that much. I was mentally speaking to everybody, but obviously they weren't paying attention. But yeah, I had very little to say. I'm not going to blame it on Monday. Every day's a Super Bowl. Dan says that all the time. I guess there was, I just didn't have anything that I felt passionate about, during the course of that first hour. And I should have spoken more, but I held my tongue because a couple of things I thought of saying either were kind of said, or I just felt like I'd be talking just to talk. And then next thing you know, it's like middle of the second hour, and you haven't really said anything.
No, what's even worse?
I can work on that.
What's worse than not speaking, though, is actually speaking and it being so forgettable that no one noticed you speak.
That would be worse. So yeah, but when you compare it to Friday, Fritzy and everything, and then it looks really bad. So I got to space out my words and volume of speaking throughout the week, so you're not quiet on Monday and then out of control.
Am I the only one who's actually okay with Todd not speaking all that much?
Me, I'm right with you, buddy.
I mean, like if you have something to say, then say it. But I don't necessarily feel all this pressure. Like, man, we really need more Fritzy today. It's like Fritzy picks his spots, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really not. But I'm okay with him being a little quiet.
Well, we did some investigative work. Let's see if it was good or bad as we roll some tape.
Yeah, Fritzy.
How often has your mind changed about who's going number one as far as trying to get through all these rumors back and forth over these past few weeks?
Not much.
You have some type of hand injury.
I do have a hand injury.
Which, thankfully...
How did you injure your hand?
That's not happened
or is that just something over time?
Yeah, so I was technically mistaken. Fritzy did speak and unloaded and said all the things he had to get off his chest.
There was one question asked and a brief comment during a look-in, so that's...
I-Team's credibility just took a major shot, though.
Yeah, we didn't have it 100%. We apologize.
Gotta go two sources.
Yeah, we jumped the gun on it. It is funny, though. It is funny how different it could be from day to day with how people talk or don't talk.
Well, now that we've settled that, there's more on the way. It's mock headline time, and we'll see what the guys have planned for tonight in the city. Welcome back to the Box Score. Thanks for joining us. It's Monday, gentlemen, and that heavyweight belt is once again up for grabs. Let's look back at the weekend in sports as you guys show us your wit and give us another edition of
Mock Headline Battle Royale.
Four-men enter. I will give you a headline. You give me a mock headline. First headline, the Atlanta Hawks stunned the Indiana Pacers in Game 1. Let's start with the back row, McLovin.
I was afraid you were going to start with me, Brock. Now bear with me here.
Everyone starts with bear with me.
This might come off as non-politically correct. Real Housewives of Indiana, because they didn't play like Real Housewives. These Real Housewives of Atlanta. No, that's terrible. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance.
To the Housewives, front row, Paulie.
Pacering themselves. Indiana loses Game 1.
Solid. That's a solid. Yeah. Fritzy, what do you got?
In your pace. It's not hib hib hooray for Roy.
In the pace. In the pace. And finally, Seton, your mock headline, please.
What the fuck? Pacers stink.
Oh, Censors with their hand on the button. Next headline, the
Doesn't really mean
Columbus
anything.
Blue Jackets beat the Pens for their first ever playoff win. Front row, Paulie.
Jack's off to a great start in the NHL playoffs.
Yeah! Keep it in the midriff.
Thanks.
Fritzy.
Columbus discovers victory as Pens leak.
I'm with that.
Ooh, tough crowd.
Woo, Seton.
Blue Jackets win! Blue Jackets win! In related news, nation shocked to learn Columbus has a professional hockey team. I didn't really know.
And finally, McLovin.
This is citing Philip Roth's seminal novella, Goodbye Columbus's Losing Ways.
Oh, God.
Goodbye Columbus, Philip
Goodbye
Roth.
Columbus.
Check, 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 check one. Our third
Philip
headline,
Roth,
Blake
one of the
Griffin
greatest
accidentally
American
dumps,
novelists.
Blake Griffin accidentally dumps water all over a fan. Fritzy, let's start with you.
For goodness Blake, Griffin cools off spectator with dry humor.
That's dry right there. Seton, you're next.
H2O. That wasn't very nice, Blake.
Let's keep the pace. And McLovin, what do you got?
You know how every scandal has something gate add to this? This one is perfect. Watergate. So when people talk about the Watergate scandal, they'll be talking about Blake Griffin.
I like it. I like it.
No, just Watergate.
And Paulie, please.
What a splash hole. Blake douses innocent fan.
Wow.
Paulie keeps it midriff and funny. Finally, our last headline. The Pirates and the Brewers have themselves a bench-clearing brawl. Front row. Seton, please.
Sit on it, buccos. No happy days in Milwaukee.
Yeah!
That's your
I
wheelhouse.
like that. Love a Happy Days reference.
Fritzy, can you top
Nicely
that?
done. I don't know, I'm going to try. Go mess. Carlos flips back, Cole flips out, causing brouhaha.
Wordy.
Thoughtful Paulie.
Soft brawl. MLB fights are lame.
Actually correct.
I like that. Why are they booing him? That's not nice. And finally, McLovin.
I kept it simple. Brewer haha. He said brouhaha,
Let's see
which
here.
is too obvious.
The Mock Headline Championship belt goes to Seton O'Connor.
Thank you.
4 for 4.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Coming up, who's picking up the tab tonight at dinner? We'll get the inside info when we return. Welcome back to the Box Score. Last call here at the Box Score Bar. McLovin, you guys are off to Adam Sandler's movie premiere after the show today. Any confirmation if DP is joining you guys for dinner after the movie?
Well, Dan said he was not, but I don't think it was a finite he was not. I said, should I book a reservation? And he just laughed at me. He said, I don't want to go out to dinner with you guys. But I still think there's a chance at about 5:15. Hey, McLovin, what restaurant did you book for after the show? Because Dan will sometimes do that. So I really don't know if we're going to dinner with Dan.
He kept the door open a little bit, but he seemed ultimately to have very little interest.
One thing I've learned, Brock, is to make things easy on Dan. So Seton and I are going to scout out the blocks around the theater, find the best restaurant, and act like we didn't do this. Then when we walk out of the theater when it's done, Dan's going, all right, let's just go get something real quick. And we're like, there's blank steakhouse. That's supposed to be really good.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't want things to be difficult. It's like, and almost more like, dude, it's cool if you want to come tag along or not. Don't worry about it. We're going to go right over here and grab some drinks and maybe a steak. And if you want to tag along, cool. And
Are we going to go
usually the best way to
expensive
play
with
it.
this, or does that mean that we go medium price since it's a
Only
quick
Dan
fight?
can initiate an expensive dinner.
Right.
That's
point.
policy.
Right.
DP brought up a past experience as a valid reason, though, not to invite you guys tonight.
These guys show up like they're in Our Gang or the Clampetts, and all of a sudden, the people at the Italian club, they were loaning them jackets that it'd be as if your 4-year-old put on your jacket. That's what it looked like. They put on these jackets for these guys and then set you guys up the back steps, too, so none of the members of this Italian club could see us. These guys ate more than I've ever seen you at a meal, and then you guys just realized that I had to pick up the tab. Just now, and then you want me to go to dinner with you?
Dude, okay, first of all, while everything that Dan said there was accurate, it's a little bit misleading, too. Okay? The reason I think that most of us didn't dress up is because we only had like 2 hours notice of like, hey, by the way, you're meeting me here for dinner. And I don't have time to go like find a suit and everything. It was like, all right, cool. Well, I got my crappy Chucks and ripped jeans on, so I hope that's cool. The place was nice enough to let us borrow jackets, or at least those of us who didn't have them. And
What
that
did he
was
look like?
well, I sort of get called burning down the house a lot.
David
I was
Byrne.
David Byrne when he's the little kid in that video with the guitar, and he's sort of just this gigantic. It's like a size 48 jacket or something, like just gigantic.
I got a back scene there. Dan's notorious. Like 8 minutes before the dinner starts, he says, "Don't forget to wear a jacket." I'm like, well, I'm at a hotel in New York City. I don't have a jacket.
Yeah,
I mean, I barely have any at home.
Just run out to the tailor. Oh.
Fritzy, Dan said if you had 3 adult beverages tonight, he would pick up the bill. Do you feel any pressure to do so?
There is some peer pressure there. The guys know I'm not a big drinker. I drink very little. If I'm going to drink, it's going to be like a Coke or a Mountain Dew or a ginger ale. So we're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to have to give that some thought on the train ride to the city.
That's premature now.
So I'm leaning towards not, but these guys have a way of talking me into things against my will.
Paulie, question, were those jackets required at the gun range at that club?
No, I think you could take your jacket off whilst shooting because you want to be as comfortable as possible, but it's pretty cool to have a shooting range downstairs. That's every time you think you've seen it all, you're having pasta upstairs and guns downstairs.
Speaking of guns, Fritzy, who's on tomorrow?
Soccer star Landon Donovan and Cardinals outfielder Matt Holliday will both join us in the New York City Man Cave, so we're looking forward to that.
Thanks for watching The Box Score. Set your DVR or tune in weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern only on Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Cheers.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching The Box Score. Holy cow!